The opening scene reveals a blogger and scientist named Lauren. She's staring at all the images hanging on her wall, and then on her calendar, she strikes out a date which she has been counting down to. Well, doomsday is a personal affair. She goes skydiving with her boyfriend who is really scared of the activity. How best can one profess love for their partners than by going through near-fatal experiences together? Fortunately, she hires a trainer to help guide him. After he has properly worn his gadget and jitters as they are about to fly, Lauren announces the end of their relationship with him. She explains that she's the problem and bids him farewell. No other grand departure than breaking up thousands of feet in the air. At a law firm in Oregon, Calvin Chesney, an attorney, finishes conversing with his mom on the phone when a colleague walks in. Gina, his boss, soon comes around and asks to see him in her office. She acknowledges his work, which has caught the notice of the firm and partners, and then informs him that there is a case in which she believes he will be the right person to handle. Gina explains that the case in question has to do with her sister, whom she rarely speaks of. She's worried that her sister has been through a lot, especially with the passing of their father when she was younger, and Lauren was 15. Then she had to leave for law school, which resulted in her sister being alone for some time. However, Gina is worried that she might just lose Lauren forever, because her sister has come up with a theory that stands for the point of infidelity and guilt. What a perfect way of getting over a betrayal. She expresses her concerns and shows Calvin her sister's blog and the amount of engagement by people whose lives are being impacted by her theory, not to mention Lauren's own mental well-being. Calvin thinks it's all cool, and Gina further explains that Lauren has been offered a very lucrative book deal, but she's concerned that if her sister writes that book, her sister will be gone forever. So she asks Calvin to stop the blog, book, and all of it, using whatever means he can, even if he has to use the power of persuasion he has on women. He declines as he wouldn't want to mess with the poor girl's head. Gina offers to recommend that he be made a partner to the board if he does what she wants. Calvin feels it's so cold of her because he deserves the position of a partner at the firm anyway. However, he agrees to talk to Lauren and get her to shut down the blog, and the duo make a toast, sealing their deal. Maintaining professionalism over a blackmail deal deserves a toast, don't you think? Calvin begins his work a few days later. Not one to waste time. He trails Lauren to her usual route outside her office and offers her assistance when she accidentally falls, because she's listening to his loud conversation behind her. They soon get along as he offers to buy her some ice for the sprain and then coffee. He engages her in several conversations about her research and some other things as they literally spend the day together in a pizza place. Towards the end of the day, Calvin drops her off at home and requests to see her again because he had a wonderful time today. Lauren gets into her house and does a little more work on her project before turning in for the night. Early the next morning, Calvin drops by her place to give her some delicious snacks. Subsequently, the duo spend more time together engaging in various activities from fishing to cycling, until the night Lauren invites him over to her place. If only she knew his motive. She asks him to stay the night since it's late already, but he declines. He confesses that they are exactly what she thinks, but he doesn't want to take it to the next level until they are being totally honest with each other. An honest liar is a rare occurrence. Calvin spills half the truth to her about how he got to know about her, and then the blog. He confesses to her that he's intrigued about her and her personality, and would love to know more, because the past few weeks have been amazing. Lauren initially thinks that her sister must have put him up to it, but then she invites him to come up to her office, since he wants to see more. It seems she is getting close to knowing his motive. She leads him up to her home office, and Calvin is surprised to see notes and images of her fans all over the wall. Who would have thought? She was way deep in her belief. It's like her mini workspace, with details about everything she does. He subtly suggests that she might want to shut down the blog because it's been a week since they've been spending time together, and she hasn't made one post on her blog. Lauren tells him it's almost impossible for her to shut down the blog because a lot of people depend on her. So many betrayed and heartbroken people. She shows him a comment from one of her fans who thanked her for helping her overcome heartbreaks. Calvin is surprised at the way she explains her theories and her infidelity formula. He comes up with an idea to test her theory, since as a scientist, a theory is nothing more than a theory until it's proven. That's true though. He comes up with a plan to put her theory to the test by offering to pick 5 of his friends who have been in a relationship longer than 6 months, while she picks the enchantresses who will be their downfall. That's a tricky one. They agree to have a competition, and the best 3 out of 5 wins. They reach a consensus that if Calvin wins, then she's going to admit her posts are wrong and she will shut it all down. Also, she will agree to be with him like normal people without an expiration date. Lauren informs him that if she succeeds in getting the men to cheat, then she'll get to have 6 months with him. He'll post on her blog, admit defeat, and write a foreword to the book about the competition and how it all went down. They reach a deal, and Calvin gives her a brief hug before bidding her a good night. It's game time. The next day, the sisters meet up for a spa session. Gina tries to get her sister to talk about Calvin in a bid to find out if she is upset or not. Guilt is a heavy burden. Lauren tells her sister about her dislike for sending a man her way when she knows how to get a man by herself. She informs Gina about the competition she and Calvin agreed to do, and then shows her the list of all the men. Gina is surprised to know that her sister has done her findings on each of these men. She ain't playing. She intends to use one of her loyal fans, Karina. Karina is a stripper and exotic dancer, whom Lauren wants to use to her advantage. Plus, she's got a great body. Lauren tells her sister all about the terms and conditions of the competition, and she's quite certain she'll win because she's an expert in human nature. Well, see if she wins. Gina is surprised that one of the people in their office, Sharon Gottlieb, is on the list. She informs her sister that Karina isn't Sharon's type because she's married and she just had a baby. Lauren is unbothered because she knows Calvin's ploy. However, she plans on using a male dancer to bring Sharon down, as she may not be able to resist the guy's hot body. Lauren confirms from her sister that she has had nothing sexual to do with Calvin since they went to law school together, and they even work in the same office. She thinks her sister has a point because Calvin might have informed his friends about the competition so he could win. She thinks about it for a minute and then hopes he's truly a man of integrity and honor. Later, when Lauren gets home, she looks through the comments and pictures on the wall and then decides to temporarily shut down the blog as she can't be writing on the blog and partaking in the competition, so she doesn't give away her secret. We hope the secret will hold for long. Calvin hangs out with his guys the next day, where they are all having fun chatting and playing a game. They talk about the recent happenings and their women, especially the new girl they've been seeing Calvin with. The following day, Gina and Lauren anticipate their mom, who may be showing up soon. She shows up and introduces her boyfriend, Alejandro Barraza. She informs her girls that he's a designer who has his own label. They soon start eating, and Lauren questions why Alejandro is dating a woman much older than he is. What better way to welcome him to the family than questioning her mom's life choice at the dinner table? The display of affection between him and her mother is beginning to irritate her, and she doesn't even know when she asks her mom to act her age. Her mother gets pissed and lashes at her for not giving her grandkids when she's almost 30. Rather, she's giving out pig tips online. Gina steps in to inform their mother that Lauren is seeing someone. Their mother's mood brightens up upon hearing that. She asks when she'll get to meet him, and they soon start talking about him. Lauren excuses herself to go hang out with Calvin, and then bids the rest of them goodbye. Lauren gets in Gina's sports car and drives to pick up Calvin. They hit the road driving for hours. Later that night, they get back to Calvin's apartment, playing chess and having some drinks when Lauren grabs him for a kiss, until they get interrupted by Jacob, Calvin's best friend who lives with him. What perfect timing! They spend the rest of the night chatting, until before falling asleep. The next day, Lauren wakes up in Calvin's arms. She excuses herself to go get ready for work, and he expresses his worry over the competition because she's unwilling to reveal who she will be challenging his friends with. She kisses his lips goodbye and gets on her way, insisting that he will find out soon. Her middle name is Suspense. Soon after she leaves, Calvin receives a call from Gina. He compliments her car, which he believes is one of the perks of being a partner at their firm. To clear the air, he informs her that he doesn't want the position if she suggests it to the board as they had initially agreed. Calvin reveals that he'd rather earn it. Besides, he really likes Lauren and wouldn't want to use her as a stepping stone to the position. A nobleman with a conscience. He steps out later to train with his friend Garrett, who is a fitness trainer. While they are conversing about Garrett's girlfriend, a very sexy lady walks into the gym, and she definitely calls their attention. Karina walks over to them, informing Garrett that the lady at the front desk referred her to him since she's looking for a trainer. Calvin knows for certain that she's Garrett's temptation. He watches as Karina requests for Garrett to follow her home because she just bought equipment she doesn't know how to use. The classic damsel in distress trick. Garrett agrees to go with her and even offers to give her a free session already. Calvin watches in amusement because he knows it's just an excuse. Later in the washroom, he tries to talk Garrett out of going over to Karina's house, but he rebukes him for having a dirty mind. He reminds him that it's his job to go over to clients' houses if need be. Towards evening, Calvin receives a delivery from a delivery guy. He signs and opens the package to find Garrett's boxer in it. He knows for certain that his friend must have fallen helplessly for the temptation. One man down. At work the next day, Gina assigns Calvin and Sharon to a case somewhere in town, and it is supposed to last for a few days. She encourages them to have some fun on Thursday night and not overwork themselves. Calvin gives some particular details a thought, and instantly, it occurs to him that something is up. Smart reasoning. Sherlock Holmes would be so proud. The day arrives and Calvin is in a bar with Sharon. They are having some drinks, and from their conversations, Calvin can tell that Sharon isn't having the best time in her marriage. She's facing a challenging time with the kid, work, and her love life with her husband. Sharon complains on and on. She soon excuses herself to use the ladies as her are beginning to surge with milk. Sharon comes back a few minutes later with Brandon Cox, who had noticed her pump. What better way to spark a conversation than with a pump? Dr. Cox introduces himself, and Sharon further reveals that he is a specialist who helps women who have had multiple childbirths recover. Calvin knows that it's Sharon's turn for the test, and this doctor guy is really making his way into Sharon's head. He tries to distract them and talk some sense into Sharon, but she's adamant, insisting she is a grown woman who knows what she wants. He laughs in defeat as he watches her make her way out with Dr. Cox. The following morning, when he gets to the office, the receptionist gives him a package that was delivered to the office for him. Calvin opens the envelope and finds the panties which belonged to Sharon. Another one down. Later, he meets up with Lauren at his friend Simon's bar, and they discuss Sharon's test, which she fell for. Lauren reveals that she isn't too surprised because Sharon is a sad woman who hasn't been looked at lovingly for some time now. Calvin feels it'll be tragic if Lauren wins, and then she gets to keep her blog, the book writing, and then just 6 months with him. Simon soon walks over to the bar stand, and Calvin informs him that he'll be getting married to Lauren, and he wants the bachelor's party to be at his bar. The men agree, and Calvin turns back to Lauren, informing her that 2 of their competitors will be at the bachelor's party, and she only needs one to cheat for the competition to be over. He lets Lauren know that he's aware of the dirty game she played with Karina. The next day, Calvin discusses with his tech geek friend Jacob about his girlfriend. He ends up inviting him to the event happening later that night at Simon's bar. That evening, the boys are gathered, making jokes. They wonder what's going on with Calvin when he suddenly decides to get married. It's a surprise to them. However, they are willing to give their friend all the support he needs. Calvin finds out from Eddie what his relationship has been like with his woman, with whom they've been together since Jenny was 18. He's quite impressed that at least there is genuine love between them. Eddie steps out to give his woman a call, and Karina walks right up to him. She introduces herself and starts to flirt with him. She's truly captivating and almost catches Eddie off guard. He resists her and runs back to join the boys inside. They had girls come over to join them in partying. The boys come together as they drag Calvin to one of the girls to play dirty with him. He accidentally ends up hitting her mouth when she inches towards his crotch. After everything, he gives her some ice to massage the spot and blames his actions on his reflexes. He apologizes, but she's really pissed as she grabs her purse and walks away. Obviously, it's not a situation that an ice pack can fix. Calvin comes to join his friends out in the living area, and to his surprise, Simon has gone on a walk with Mandy. He questions why no one prevented him from going out. Lauren receives a call from Heather Decker, who reveals that she has an update on her book offer. She discovers that they've gotten wind of the competition through her sister, who had made it known to the publisher, and now they are offering her $2 million if she wins. She doesn't like that Gina wouldn't stay out of her life. After all, she's not even a fan of her blog. But then, the offer is something. Would she go for it? Heather informs her that she will be needed for an interview on Monday, but Lauren requests some more time to think about it because she's quite unsure if she wants to write the book or not. The next morning, Calvin rushes over to Simon, querying him for sleeping with Mandy. He hurts his friend and turns him around to check for his underpants. Fortunately, he still has them on, so he gives Simon a chance to explain what ensued. Calvin is so excited that at least 2 of his friends can resist Lauren's girls. He meets up with Lauren later, and they talk about Mandy, who seems to be quite taken with Simon because he is the first man to ever turn her down. A record breaker. Calvin informs her that when the whole thing is over, he would like to take her to Paris, where they can get some striped shirts and live the life of the mimes. Really horny mimes. Calvin laughs at his thoughts. He notices the looks on her face and assures her that he understands it will be tough for her to shut down the blog, so she may not have to shut it down. He suggests she turns it into something more positive. Lauren smiles and reminds him that it could go down either way, as there is one more challenger left. He laughs dryly, as he remembers that his friend, who is a minister, has to prove that he won't cheat on his wife. He vouches for Dooley, and Lauren asks him not to, as people can be quite surprised. She reminds him about their agreement to have the last challenge at Karina's house. She asks that he tell the minister to show up around 7 to the address, which she will text to him. Calvin finds it funny that she wants to run a conversation con on his friend. He thinks she's gradually turning into a regular gangster. They both laugh, and Lauren informs him that she will be having a meeting with the publishers on Monday to discuss the book proposal and details. Calvin assures her that either way, she gets to have a great story to tell. He requests to have dinner with her the following night so they can celebrate while everything is going down. But she thinks it'll be a good idea to wait for the results together. The competition with Dooley is yet to fully begin, and Calvin is having dinner with Lauren at a restaurant. His phone buzzes. He picks up the call and hears the information about Minister Dooley being in the hospital. A sad turn of events. He shares the news he just received with her about Dooley's broken leg while playing hoops. Since she will have to meet with the publishers, they need to get a new competitor as soon as possible. Calvin comes up with the idea of sending Jacob, who's been engaged to Danielle for over a year. It turns out that Jacob is free, so he sends him the address to go help a friend work on her computer. Lauren worries that Jacob is a freak, but Calvin is excited because he doesn't go for easy women, so he believes that Jacob is good. Lauren receives a text on her phone almost as soon as Calvin excuses himself to use the restroom. She reads the message from Heather stating that the publishers raised the offer to $3 million as they have sensed her hesitation. The temptation gets costlier. Afterward, she picks up Calvin's phone to send a text to someone and then walks towards Simon. She requests that he help her tell Calvin that she started feeling really bad and had to leave, but she will call him later. What could she be up to? Jacob is on his way out when he receives a text from Calvin informing him that the initial address is a wrong one, so he should work with the new one provided in the text. Some foul play at work. Calvin comes back and is surprised to hear that she suddenly became sick. Meanwhile, Lauren just arrived at her place, and Jacob soon arrives at her location as well. Who could have seen this coming? She leads him upstairs, and when he asks about Calvin, she claims that they broke up the previous night because everything is moving too fast. Lauren gives him the computer, which she says has been giving her some issues, and then decides to be the last competitor's temptation. She kisses his cheek in appreciation, and soon starts to massage his shoulders while he works on her computer. Jacob is enjoying the massage session, and while she's at it, he quickly replies to a text from Calvin and then turns off his phone. No distraction is allowed. After he is done with the repairs, he confirms if she truly has broken up with Calvin. Meanwhile, Calvin just receives the text from Jacob, and he wonders where the breakup story is coming from. Jacob assures her that he is here for her, so she doesn't have to feel too burdened. Lauren thanks him and continues acting her part perfectly well until he attempts to kiss her. She gently avoids him, and he starts blabbering about how perfect she is. He informs her about an app that he sold for a lot of money, and it's all about her. We have a silent admirer here. He reveals that he's going to be rich, and now that Calvin is out of the way, he can take care of her. It seems like he has been waiting for this opportunity. Lauren tries to act smart by faking a phone call, but he stops her, confessing that he's crazy about her. Calvin arrives at her house and enters the room questioning what's going on. Lauren apologizes, and she confesses that it's all because of the competition. She was just trying to win. Calvin angrily punches his best friend for nurturing the thoughts of sleeping with his woman. Jacob gets annoyed and spills the truth that Calvin had slept with Gina back in law school. Lauren feels disappointed. She walks away from the room, and Calvin turns to clarify that he didn't sleep with Gina. They had only gone out on a few dates, but they remained friends. Jacob realizes that his friend is sincere. So, he apologizes for what he said to Lauren. Calvin walks away to go find Lauren. Such a sad turn of events. Meanwhile, Lauren heads to her sister's house requesting to know why she kept the truth from her. Gina thinks she must have found out about the deal she made with Calvin, so she goes ahead to reveal the truth. Lauren cuts her short, asking if she slept with Calvin or not. She blames her for sending a man whom she will fall for her way. She's in love. Amid tears, she explains how she was driven by the desire to win, and then she takes advantage of Jacob, whom she knows is crushing on her. She fears that Calvin is never going to forgive her. Gina hugs her sister and comforts her. Calvin doesn't know what to do or where to find her. He stays outside drinking as the thoughts of their relationship ending fill his mind. Gina pours some wine into the wine glass and apologizes to her sister. The doorbell rings, so she gets up to see who is there. Her mother and Alejandro walk in laughing heartily, announcing their marriage. Lauren cuts their celebration short as she informs her mother about Gina and Calvin. She pours her heart out and confesses how she genuinely feels about Calvin to Alejandro, as well as her discovery that Calvin also lied to her. Gina comes up with an idea that will help clean up the whole mess. She requests a chance to make everything right, since she is the one who started it. She gets them to set the place in order, and then invites Calvin over. He shows up with a drink in his hands, thinking it's a work call. Gina sets her act in motion, while the others watch and listen to them from behind the scenes. She knows that he's drunk, so she manipulates her way into getting him to feel comfortable with her. Slowly, Gina gets up close to him, and Lauren attempts to disrupt them. Thankfully, her mother and Alejandro hold her back. They want her to find out the kind of man Calvin really is by watching if he will fall for Gina or not, as it's the only way to expose if they've ever had any sexual relationship or not. Calvin stops Gina from kissing him, as she subtly brings up the summer they spent together in law school. He gets pissed and yells at her, schooling her about how wrong what she wants to do is. He blames her for everything, as she's the reason why he fell in love with her sister, and now he's about to lose her. He promises to spend time, no matter how long, just to prove to Lauren that he really loves her. Lauren comes out from behind the curtain, revealing that he just proved it to her, as he is the last challenger since the competition didn't end, because he interrupted her and Jacob. The ladies inform him that he's the winner. He confesses his love for Lauren and requests for them to put everything behind them so they can start all over again. He grabs her for a kiss, and her mother and Alejandro come out from the curtains cheering them on. Months pass and Lauren launches her book titled Love is Stronger. She makes huge sales and signs off on some for her readers. She goes skydiving with Calvin, and this time, she doesn't send a man off with a breakup message. They jump down the plane together holding each other's hands and screaming excitedly.